Hi guys, today I want to talk about all the books that I read in the month of May. I had a really good reading month and I want to talk about all the 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, and mystery thrillers, fantasies that I read. A little side note before I get into the video, the hair, what's going on top of my head is new. It's actually kind of purple. I did it last night very spontaneously and it's not gonna be here in the next video because I pre-filmed my June TBR video and I just decided to go purple, and this video is gonna go live before that one, so just to address the possible confusion, there you go. So, I'm gonna start with my only 3-star book this month, and that is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. It's a mystery, not so much a thriller, but more of a mystery novel. It takes place on an island off the coast of Ireland, and a lot of guests arrive with a lot of secrets and secret connections, and there's a lot of hatred going on in between the guests, and due to a storm, they are stranded on the island for a while and someone is murdered. So we go back and forth between 2 days before the wedding and the day of the wedding and then 2 months before the wedding, and we try to piece together who would have wanted to kill that person. And I had a fun time reading it. The writing was gripping. The plot was not overly complicated. I liked the overall reveal, but I kind of guessed it in the halfway point. That is why it just didn't blow my mind, and that's why it's a 3-star. Not magnificent, but it's a nice Agatha Christie-esque mystery novel, and I had a great time reading it. I read it in one day, so if you need a quick book to squeeze in between larger reads, or you just enjoy reading mystery, go pick up The Guest List. My next book on my list is a 4-star, and that would be The Toll by Neal Shusterman. I talked about the Arc of the Scythe series in my previous video, and I kind of dissed it. I liked it, but I couldn't feel connected to most of the characters, and I am very much a character-driven reader, and I expected that. Didn't happen. That's why I was like, is this gonna be what I wanted to be? And it wasn't, but it was good. I can't explain to you how rare it is to feel meh about the overall series and love the ending. Neal Shusterman tied the plot up so well that I was just like, I did not know this was gonna go there. I'm mind blown. It's so good. In the story, humanity has cured all diseases. We don't age, we don't die. People can rewind their age when they get older, but that brings up the population problem because we are still on this planet. So there are these designated killers called scythes who are supposed to kill a certain number of people each year to keep the population under control, and that premise is so interesting. All the themes explored in this series, like immortality and how a religious figure can make people come together, and how a misinterpreted religion can drive people to do very violent acts. I loved the themes and the plot. It is a very plot-driven story. So up until the end of The Toll, I was like, I don't really care if these people die or continue living. We were following 2 scythe apprentices that discovered some shady business going on in the scythedom. They're trying to survive. They're also trying to right this wrong, and I did not care about them, but I cared about humanity as a whole. And when Neal Shusterman gave us that ending, I was just like mind blown. It was beautiful. It was so satisfying. If you want a dystopian, like sci-fi series to fly through, because it was a fast read, go check out Arc of a Scythe because the ending just did it for me. 4 stars. I have one 4.5 stars on my list, and that would be The Queen's Poisoner by Jeff Wheeler. I came across this book on Peruse Project's YouTube. Reagan raved about this book, and I guess she sold me on it because it made its way into my Kindle, and I'm so glad that it did. It's a young adult fantasy novel that follows an 8-year-old boy named Owen. He is sent to live with a tyrant king by his duke father because his father tried to rebel against this king and he failed, and the king basically asks for Owen as a hostage to live in his castle. The story is told from an 8-year-old's perspective, but it still grips you. The details that Wheeler managed to give us through the eyes of an innocent 8-year-old are just magnificent, everything tied together perfectly, and I was so intrigued. The magic system is really interesting. There is a magical fountain that all the kingdom's children are bathed in after they're born, and around the age of 11 or 12, if they are blessed, they develop these magical powers like clairvoyance or being able to persuade people to do whatever you want them to do just by talking to them. And that premise was so intriguing to me, and Owen's character arc was so beautiful. He struggles to make friends with another duke's daughter. He tries to navigate the very tricky politics in the palace. Don't be fooled by the young protagonist. This story is very intricate and there are details, there is espionage, and it was so fun to read. And I love how Jeff Wheeler managed to give us such a deep story but still convey the innocence of Owen, and I just bon appetit. The only reason it isn't 5 stars is because my 2 5-star books of the month are just perfect in my mind. Almost perfect. My first 5-star book is Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. She is one of my favorite authors. I'm just gonna put it out there, and this fantasy series is a YA classic fantasy, so we are dealing with a lot of familiar tropes. There is a magic school, there is a magician training to be a better mage, there is a darkness that needs to be defeated, and there's a quest that Ged, our protagonist, has to take to defeat that darkness, and I just loved every step of it. You can definitely see how many works this series influenced because it is all the classic tropes that we know and love given to us in a very beautiful story. It feels nostalgic, it's such a fun read, and I love how Ged grows from being a power-hungry magic student to a broken but wise mage because he learns from his mistakes. There are consequences to his mistakes, and I just love the universe so much, and I'm gonna be reading the second book in the month of June, and I just can't wait. It's beautiful. Think of it as Lord of the Rings without Tolkien's too descriptive writing, and there is no ring that is the symbol of the darkness, but there is a darkness still that is unleashed due to Ged's mistake, and it's a beautiful series. Go read it. Technically, my last rated book is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. I talked about this in a previous video, so if you heard that and you don't want to listen to this, just click through, but I'm gonna rave about it again. It's amazing! This high fantasy novel is in a kingdom where there is a god king, and another neighboring kingdom has a treaty with this god king that the king is supposed to send his eldest daughter to marry the god king when she turns 22, I think 22, but then when the time comes, the king decides that he loves his eldest daughter Vivenna too much to send her away, so he decides to send Ciri, the youngest daughter, to marry the god king. Ciri has no idea about this different culture's rules, the politics that are waiting for her in the palace, and we watch her as she tries to navigate that, and Vivenna tries to go and save her younger sister, and I just love Vivenna's character arc. She grows so much throughout this book, and I was just stunned because I really didn't like her at the beginning, but she became a strong character. I like it. And the magic system is breathtaking because it's dependent on the concept of breaths. The more breaths you have, the more powerful you are, the more heightened your senses are, and the more things you can bring to life with that breath, like different objects and dead bodies. And Brandon Sanderson does an amazing job of giving us little clues along the way and then tying everything in an intricate bow that only reveals itself at the very end, and you're like, oh my god, everything had its purpose. I can't believe this. His writing is not flowery, which I enjoy because the plot does not need it. The plot is so intricate and it was just amazing. I'm glad that I read it. It's my first book that I read of Sanderson, and I'm continuing on my journey. Okay, this book I'm currently reading, so that's why I don't have a rating for it, but The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, and it's my first Gaiman book. It's going so well so far. It's a magical realism / horror story, and I'm having fun. I'm halfway through, and his writing is so immersive and his descriptions of situations are so unique that I'm just captivated by it. The story of a hidden, mystical but dangerous world in the garden of a farmhouse, the story itself is so good. So I'll definitely do an elaborate Goodreads review on this, but I'm probably gonna finish it by the end of May. I'm filming this ahead of time, so I don't have a rating for you. I also read 2 books by Turkish authors, but I want to do another seasonal Turkish author wrap-up video because I believe it's only fair if I do that video in Turkish. But yeah, that was it for all the books that I read in the month of May. I really enjoyed every single one of them. Every one of them gave me joy, so don't mind the ratings. I don't have any 1 or 2 stars, which is always good, and I'm hoping for more Goodreads next month as well. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!